Have you ever woken up in the morning, swung your legs off the bed, and felt like something just wasn't right? Your feet touch the floor, but your legs don't feel as steady as they used to. Maybe it takes a little more effort to rise from a chair. Maybe climbing stairs leaves you slightly winded. Or perhaps you've noticed your balance feels off, and a slight stumble makes you feel uneasy the rest of the day. If any of this sounds familiar, you're not alone and you're not imagining it. In fact, your body might be sending you subtle, early warnings long before anything serious happens. After the age of 60, one of the very first places the body shows signs of decline is in the legs. Not necessarily because of aging itself, but because of hidden deficiencies in key nutrients that support strength, flexibility, and coordination. The truth is, many of the symptoms we often blame on aging, like leg cramps, muscle loss, fatigue, and shaky legs, are sometimes just signs that your body is low on certain vitamins and minerals that power your mobility. The good news? With the right nutrients, given at the right time, in the right way, you can restore strength, improve balance, and reduce your risk of falls, often within just a few weeks. That's what this video is all about. Today, we'll walk through the 7 most important vitamins for leg strength after 60. We'll talk about what they do, how to know if you're low, where to get them naturally, and how to supplement them safely if needed. Most importantly, we'll explain why these nutrients are critical not just for movement but for independence, safety, and quality of life. Before we get into the details, I want to ask you something. Have you ever thought, I eat 3 meals a day, I'm probably getting enough vitamins? That's what many older adults assume. But the truth is, after age 60, the body's ability to absorb nutrients from food drops significantly. Even if you're eating enough, your body may not be using those nutrients efficiently anymore. Add in a limited diet, lower appetite, certain medications, or just a bit of routine eating the same foods over and over, and it's easy to become deficient without even knowing it. Let me give you a few real-life examples. If you're low on vitamin D, you might feel unsteady on your feet, hesitate on stairs, or notice your muscles aren't reacting quickly. If you're low on calcium, bones become weaker, making you more prone to fractures even from small trips. If you lack magnesium or potassium, you may wake up with intense leg cramps or stiffness at night. And if your nerves feel off, maybe you've felt numbness in your toes, tingling in your feet, or slower reflexes, it could be a sign of vitamin B12 or B6 deficiency. These aren't just random problems. They're warning signs, gentle reminders from your body that it needs support. This video isn't about selling you supplements or scaring you with medical terms. It's about helping you connect the dots. Each section is designed to help you understand your body better through simple explanations, practical advice, and real-world examples. You'll learn how something as small as one vitamin can mean the difference between feeling confident on your feet and worrying about falling. And how a small daily change, like adding more leafy greens or 10 minutes of morning sunlight, can shift how your body moves, recovers, and feels. When your legs are strong, everything else becomes easier, going for a walk, playing with grandkids, doing simple tasks around the house, or even just getting up from the couch without effort. But when your legs feel weak, every movement feels like a risk. That's why fall prevention is such an important topic, because one fall, especially in your 60s or 70s, can change your life in ways you didn't expect. But here's the thing, you can take action now, before things get serious. Even better, none of the strategies in this video require extreme diets or expensive routines. Most of them come down to giving your body the basic fuel it's been missing. You don't need to overhaul your lifestyle, you just need to fine-tune a few key habits. In each of the upcoming parts, we'll focus on one specific nutrient. For each one, you'll learn what it actually does in your legs and muscles, what signs might tell you you're low, which foods are best for getting it naturally, when supplements may be helpful, what to avoid so you don't overdo it. By the time we finish, you'll have a full roadmap to support your mobility, improve your balance, reduce leg fatigue, and regain the physical confidence you may not have felt in years. You'll also learn why many of these nutrients work together and how combining the right vitamins can amplify their effects, improving your energy, posture, circulation, and even sleep quality. Now, if you're thinking, well, I've made it to this age just fine, let me offer you a different perspective. You've made it this far, so why not feel even better in the years ahead? Aging doesn't have to mean accepting discomfort, weakness, or fear of falling. It can mean becoming wiser about your body, more in control of your health, and more independent with every step. This video is here to support that journey. So if you've ever asked yourself, why do I feel off balance lately? Why do my legs cramp up at night? Why do stairs feel harder than before? Why do I tire so quickly after walking? The answers might be simpler and more reversible than you think. Let's take this time to walk through your body's needs, one vitamin at a time. Let's rebuild the foundation of your strength from the inside out. And let's make sure your legs carry you confidently into the years ahead with vitality, stability, and a real sense of control. Your future steps can be stronger than ever, starting today. Now let's begin with the first signal your legs might be sending you and why it matters more than you realize. Let me ask you something simple but important. When was the last time you stood up from a chair without thinking? Not grabbing the table. Not pausing to find your balance. Just stood up and walked. If that feels like a memory from a few years ago, rather than something that happens every day, then you're not alone. Many people over 60 begin noticing that their legs just aren't what they used to be. A few stairs feel steeper. A short walk feels longer. Your legs don't move as quickly when you turn around. And sometimes, even standing up in the morning brings on that stiff, heavy feeling like your muscles need time to wake up. Now, the first thing people say is, well, I'm getting older. That's normal, right? But here's the truth, not every sign of leg weakness is just aging. In fact, many of these changes are your body's way of saying, I need help. These are early warnings, gentle, quiet signals that your legs, your muscles, your nerves, or your bones are missing something essential. And the earlier you listen to those signals, the easier it is to do something about them. Let's look at a few of these early signs more closely. One of the first is muscle fatigue. Not the kind that comes after a long walk, but the kind where your legs feel tired after doing something you used to do easily, like carrying groceries or getting out of the car. You might feel like you've lost stamina, like your energy tank for walking has gotten smaller. That's not just age, it's often tied to muscle loss, also called sarcopenia, which can start silently as early as your 50s. The body begins losing muscle mass at a slow but steady rate, and that directly affects how strong your legs feel. Another common sign is leg cramps, especially at night. If you've ever been jolted awake by a painful tightening in your calf, you know how unpleasant it is. Many people brush it off as dehydration or sleeping in the wrong position, but recurring cramps can be linked to deficiencies in magnesium, potassium, or vitamin D, nutrients that regulate how muscles contract and relax. When these levels drop too low, your muscles go into overdrive and spasm without warning. Some older adults also notice changes in their balance. You might feel a little unsure when walking on uneven ground, or find that your body takes longer to recover if you trip slightly. This is often due to declining nerve communication between your brain and your leg muscles, something that can be caused by low levels of vitamin B12 or B6, both of which support neuromuscular function and reflexes. When these vitamins are lacking, your reaction times slow down, which increases the risk of falls. There's also something subtler, something I call hesitation in motion. It's that little pause before you stand up. That second you hesitate before walking down a slope. That moment when you stop and check your footing before changing direction. These habits develop over time, not because you're being careful, but because your body is no longer as confident in its movement. And confidence in movement is everything. When we lose that, we begin to move less. And when we move less, muscles weaken even faster. It becomes a quiet cycle that leads to more weakness, more stiffness, and eventually, more dependence on others. But here's the good news, these early warnings are not a life sentence. They are early because they're still reversible. Your body is giving you a window, a chance to strengthen what's weakening before it becomes something more serious. You don't have to wait until you fall to make a change. In fact, if you take action now, you may avoid that fall entirely. And no, you don't need to join a gym or start a complex workout plan. What your body needs first is support from the inside, the right nutrients that power your muscles, bones, and nerves. Nutrients like calcium, magnesium, potassium, vitamin D, B12, and others. These aren't just names on supplement bottles. They're the very substances your legs depend on every day to move, balance, and hold you up with strength. Imagine your legs as a team of workers. The muscles are the movers, the bones are the structure, and the nerves are the coordinators. But they all need fuel, and that fuel comes from your diet. When just one vitamin is missing for too long, the whole system slows down. The movements become less sharp. The strength fades little by little. That's why so many older adults say things like, "I just don't feel as quick on my feet anymore." It's not because you've done anything wrong, it's simply because the system is underpowered. Now let me tell you about one of my patients. Her name is Linda, and she's 68. A few months ago, she came to me because she was starting to feel unsteady walking down her porch steps. She hadn't fallen, but she said she was beginning to avoid going out altogether, especially in bad weather. She thought it was just nerves. But after doing a few simple tests and reviewing her diet, we found she was low in vitamin D, magnesium, and B12, three of the most common deficiencies in seniors. She started a gentle supplement routine, added more leafy greens and salmon to her meals, and committed to walking 10 minutes a day. Within 6 weeks, she came back and said, "I feel like my legs came back to life." That's the power of early recognition. That's what happens when you listen to the whispers before they turn into shouts. So if your legs feel tired too quickly, if you're having nighttime cramps, or if you just feel more cautious than you used to be when walking, please don't ignore it. These are not just aging problems. These are check engine lights for your body. And what your body is asking for, more often than not, is not medication, but nutrition. In the upcoming sections, we're going to break down the 7 key vitamins that support leg health after 60. We'll look at how they work, what signs to watch for, and how to get them through simple foods or supplements when needed. You'll learn how to help your muscles fire properly, how to keep your bones strong, and how to restore the confidence in every step you take. Because strong legs are not just about strength, they're about freedom. And your freedom is worth protecting every single day. Let's begin our journey with one of the most overlooked yet foundational nutrients for leg health, vitamin D. Most people recognize vitamin D as the sunshine vitamin, often tied to bone strength. But very few realize how central it is to the strength, stability, and coordination of your legs. If your legs have felt heavier lately, if you've noticed more stumbling when walking, or if cramps and aches sneak up on you at night, vitamin D might be the missing piece. And you wouldn't be alone. Studies show that up to 70% of people over 60 are deficient in this vitamin without even knowing it. Now, you might ask, how can that happen? The answer lies in how our bodies produce vitamin D. When we're younger, our skin converts sunlight into active vitamin D efficiently. But after age 50, that process slows down dramatically. Add in less outdoor time, wearing sunscreen, or covering up for comfort, and your skin might not be making nearly enough of what your muscles and bones need. It's also important to know that vitamin D is not just about bones, it's also essential for muscle function, nerve signaling, and reflexes. When you don't have enough, your body can't coordinate leg movement properly. The result? Shaky steps, longer recovery times, and a loss of the fast-twitch muscle fibers that help you react quickly if you trip or slip. A study from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that seniors with healthy vitamin D levels had sharper reflexes, stronger legs, and fewer falls than those who were deficient. That's not a coincidence. Vitamin D helps your muscles contract efficiently. It supports protein synthesis in your legs and helps maintain the muscle fibers responsible for stability and quick reactions. Without it, every movement becomes just a little slower, a little less stable, and that's exactly when accidents happen. But vitamin D doesn't work alone. It's a team player. It helps your body absorb calcium properly. Without vitamin D, even if you're taking calcium, your bones can't use it efficiently. Worse, the calcium may end up in your arteries instead of your bones, raising the risk of calcification and cardiovascular issues. That's why many doctors now say, calcium needs vitamin D the way a door needs a key. And what about those frustrating leg cramps? Many people blame dehydration, but low vitamin D is a common hidden cause. It disrupts muscle coordination and can lead to stiffness and nighttime twitching. Some of my patients used to think those cramps were just a normal part of aging until we tested their vitamin D levels and corrected the deficiency. The results often feel like magic: deeper sleep, less nighttime pain, and smoother mornings. So how do you know if you might be low on vitamin D? There are some clear signals: chronic fatigue, nighttime leg cramps, achy thighs or hips, poor balance, or more frequent colds and infections. These can all point to a deficiency. But the only way to be sure is to ask your doctor for a 25-OH-D blood test. It's a simple lab test that tells you how much usable vitamin D is circulating in your body. Most experts recommend aiming for a blood level of 30 to 50 nanograms per milliliter for older adults. Now let's talk about how to boost your vitamin D safely and naturally. There are 3 main ways. First, and most naturally, is sunlight. Just 15 to 30 minutes of direct morning sun exposure before 9 a.m. with your arms and legs exposed can generate a meaningful amount. The earlier the better, and no sunscreen at the beginning, because sunscreen blocks UVB rays which trigger vitamin D production. Just be mindful, after 15 to 20 minutes, apply your sun protection as usual. If your skin is very fair, even 10 minutes may be enough. If it's darker, you may need slightly longer. Second, let's talk food. Sadly, very few foods naturally contain high levels of vitamin D, but some of the best include fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, and tuna. Egg yolks, mushrooms exposed to sunlight, and fortified dairy products like milk and yogurt can also help. Eating these foods regularly not only boosts vitamin D but also adds healthy omega-3s and proteins, both of which support joint and muscle health. Third, we come to supplements. If you live in a cloudy climate, stay indoors most of the day, or wear high SPF sunscreen consistently, a supplement might be necessary. The recommended dose for older adults is typically 800 to 1000 IU of vitamin D3 per day. If your blood levels are very low, your doctor may recommend a short course of 2000 IU per day until levels normalize. But here's the key: don't guess. Get tested before you start taking high doses. Too much vitamin D can cause problems, including high calcium levels and kidney issues. Always talk to your doctor if you're unsure. One more thing to remember: vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, which means it absorbs best when taken with a meal that contains some fat. Don't take it on an empty stomach. A piece of salmon, a few nuts, or even some avocado in your salad can make a big difference in absorption. And try not to take it alongside fiber-heavy meals like oatmeal that can reduce how much your body absorbs. Let me share a short story. James, a retired teacher I see in my clinic, used to feel stiff every morning. He told me, "Doc, my legs feel like rusted hinges until 10 a.m. We checked his vitamin D, it was only 18 nanograms per milliliter, far below optimal. After 10 weeks of consistent low-dose supplements, morning walks in the sun, and eating more sardines and egg yolks, he returned with a smile. "The rust is gone," he said. "I feel like myself again." That's the real power of rebalancing your nutrients. So, to wrap this up, vitamin D is not just about bones. It's the first building block of strong legs, smooth movement, and confident steps. It's the nutrient that powers your balance, supports your muscle coordination, and helps prevent the tiny stumbles that lead to big problems. Before you focus on exercises or fancy routines, make sure your vitamin D is where it needs to be. It's the foundation. And everything else builds on that. Now that we understand how essential vitamin D is to strong, confident legs, the next question becomes, how do we make sure we're getting enough every single day in a safe, effective, and sustainable way? Especially for those of us over 60, it's not as simple as just stepping into the sun or grabbing a multivitamin. Our bodies change with age, and so does the way we absorb and use vitamin D. So let's walk through the best practices for getting this powerful nutrient into your system without the guesswork or confusion. Let's start with the most natural source, sunlight. This is the way your body was designed to produce vitamin D from the skin, using UVB rays from the sun. But there are a few things to keep in mind. First, the time of day matters. The most effective time for vitamin D synthesis is between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., depending on where you live and the season. Earlier is better because the UV index is lower and safer for older skin. Second, exposure area matters. Try to expose at least your arms and legs around 15 to 30 minutes without sunscreen if possible. If you're fair-skinned, 10 to 15 minutes may be enough. If you have darker skin, you may need up to 30 minutes. Just be careful not to overdo it, burns do more harm than good. And yes, sunscreen is important, but applying it after your short exposure window lets you get the benefits without risking skin damage. But what if it's cloudy? Or winter? Or what if you're not going outside much these days? That's when diet becomes even more important. The challenge is, there are very few natural food sources of vitamin D and even fewer that are part of a typical daily diet. But they do exist, and they're powerful. First up, fatty fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel, and trout. A single serving of cooked salmon can provide more than half your daily vitamin D needs. Sardines, especially the kind packed in oil with bones, are small but mighty full of vitamin D, calcium, and omega-3 fatty acids that support joint health. If you enjoy fish once or twice a week, you're off to a strong start. Next, let's talk about egg yolks. Many older adults avoid eggs due to past fears about cholesterol. But modern research shows that for most people, eating one egg a day is perfectly safe, and the yolk is where the vitamin D and choline live. Scrambled, boiled, or poached, however you like them, eggs are a simple, affordable addition to your vitamin D plan. Then we have mushrooms, but not just any mushrooms. Only those that have been exposed to sunlight or UV light contain meaningful amounts of vitamin D2, a plant-based form of the vitamin. Brands like Portobello or Mytake often label UV exposed on the package. Add these to stir-fries, soups, or omelets, and you'll boost your intake naturally. Another helpful category is fortified foods. In the US, many products are now fortified with vitamin D, especially milk, yogurt, orange juice, breakfast cereals, and plant-based milks like almond, soy, or oat milk. Always check the label. Many contain 400 IU per serving, which adds up quickly when combined with sun exposure or other foods. If you're lactose intolerant, these fortified plant milks can be especially helpful. But what if your diet is limited? Or your blood levels are still low despite your efforts? That's where supplements come in, but only when used wisely. For seniors, a general daily dose of 800 to 1000 IU of vitamin D3 is safe and effective for maintaining healthy levels. Vitamin D3, cholecalciferol, is the same form your body makes from sunlight and is better absorbed than vitamin D2. Look for it in soft gels or liquid drops for easier digestion. If your doctor identifies a deficiency through a blood test, they may temporarily prescribe 2000 IU or more per day, but always under supervision. Some people ask whether they can just take a large dose once a week instead of daily. In some cases, yes, there are high-dose capsules like 50,000 IU weekly prescribed by doctors for severe deficiency. But these should never be self-prescribed. Long-term overuse can lead to hypercalcemia, a condition where too much calcium builds up in the blood, causing confusion, nausea, or kidney issues. More is not always better. Also, timing and absorption tips matter. Since vitamin D is fat-soluble, it absorbs best when taken with food that contains healthy fat. For example, take your supplement with lunch if you're eating salmon, avocado, nuts, or olive oil. Avoid taking it on an empty stomach or with high-fiber cereals, which can interfere with absorption. Now here's a powerful tip that most people miss. Vitamin D works best when paired with vitamin K2 and magnesium. Think of it like a team effort. Vitamin D helps absorb calcium, K2 guides calcium into your bones instead of arteries, and magnesium helps activate vitamin D in your body. Without those cofactors, vitamin D's benefits are reduced. That's why you'll often see combined supplements like D3 plus K2 or D3 plus magnesium, especially for seniors focused on bone strength, mobility, and cramp prevention. Let me share a quick story. One of my longtime patients, Teresa, age 72, was struggling with frequent calf cramps and knee instability. She was already taking a multivitamin with 400 IU of D. But her blood test came back low, at just 21 nanograms per milliliter. We bumped up her intake to 1000 IU daily of D3, added some magnesium glycinate in the evening, and encouraged her to have a salmon salad at least twice a week. Within 6 weeks, her cramps stopped, and she said, "I feel like I'm walking taller." And she was, both physically and emotionally. her body felt supported again. So here's the key takeaway: vitamin D isn't just a number on a test, it's daily movement, daily energy, and daily protection. You don't need to chase complicated solutions. Start with what you can control. A bit of morning sun, a few vitamin D-rich foods, and a simple supplement if needed. Check your labels, test your blood, talk to your doctor. But don't let something so simple stand in the way of something as important as your freedom to walk confidently. Your legs, your bones, your muscles, and your nerves are all waiting for that support. Vitamin D is your first signal, your green light to start rebuilding strength from the inside out. In the next part, we'll explore another familiar nutrient with surprising power, calcium, and how it does much more than you think for every step you take. When people hear the word calcium, they immediately think of bones, and they're not wrong. But what most people don't realize is that calcium is just as important for muscle movement, nerve signaling, and your body's ability to rise, walk, and stay balanced, especially as you get older. In fact, calcium plays a part in every single step you take. So if your legs often feel weak, if walking feels unstable, or if your knees give out more easily than before, calcium might be at the heart of the issue even if you've never had a fracture. Let's start with the basics. Your skeleton is your body's frame, and calcium is what keeps that frame strong. After age 50, bone loss begins to outpace bone formation, especially in women after menopause and men with low testosterone. If your body doesn't get enough calcium daily, it starts to pull it from your bones to maintain blood levels. Over time, this withdrawal weakens the bone matrix, especially in the hips, legs, and spine, exactly the areas that support your weight when walking or standing. That's why seniors with long-term calcium deficiency are much more likely to suffer from hip fractures, femur fractures, and mobility loss after even small stumbles. But here's what's even more surprising: calcium is not just for bones. It's also the key messenger between your brain and your muscles. Every time you take a step, stand up from a chair, or shift your weight, tiny calcium ions help your muscles contract and relax in perfect coordination. Without enough calcium, those messages get delayed, blocked, or misfired, leading to sluggish movement, leg cramps, or even loss of motor control in the lower body. That's why many people who are low in calcium feel like their legs are tired all the time, even if they're not physically active. There's more. Have you ever noticed your legs trembling slightly after walking a short distance? Or a dull ache in your thighs after climbing a few stairs? These could be signs of subtle calcium loss from bone and muscle tissue. And if you often wake up with nighttime leg cramps, experience restless legs, or have heaviness in your calves, these might be symptoms that your calcium stores are running low. Now let's get practical. How much calcium do older adults actually need? According to the National Institutes of Health, NIH, adults over 50 should aim for 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams of calcium per day, depending on gender and health status. The best way to get this calcium is through natural food sources, because they're easier to absorb and less likely to cause complications like kidney stones or arterial calcification. Here are some of the best foods rich in calcium. Dairy products: 1 cup of milk or yogurt contains around 300 to 350 milligrams of calcium. A slice of cheese adds another 200 milligrams. But remember, not everyone tolerates dairy well. If you're lactose intolerant, there are alternatives. Leafy greens, kale, bok choy, turnip greens, and collard greens are all excellent plant-based sources of calcium. They also contain magnesium and vitamin K, 2 essential nutrients that help direct calcium to the bones. Tofu and tempeh, especially if made with calcium sulfate, tofu is a highly absorbable source. Just half a block can provide over 400 milligrams of calcium. Canned fish with bones, sardines, salmon, and mackerel eaten with bones offer a powerhouse combo of calcium, vitamin D, and omega-3s. Almonds and chia seeds, a handful of almonds, about 28 g, provide 75 to 80 milligrams of calcium, while 2 tablespoons of chia seeds offer nearly 180 milligrams. Calcium-fortified products: many almond milks, orange juices, cereals, and oat milks are fortified with calcium, some up to 300 milligrams per serving. Just make sure you check the label and watch out for added sugars or artificial ingredients. Even with a healthy diet, though, some people still don't get enough. This is especially true for seniors with digestive issues, low appetite, or restricted diets. In those cases, a calcium supplement might be helpful, but it's important to be cautious. Not all calcium supplements are the same. The most common types are calcium carbonate and calcium citrate. Calcium citrate is more easily absorbed, especially for people with lower stomach acid, which is common after age 60. Now here's a critical point: calcium must always be paired with vitamin D, or your body simply won't absorb it well. Even worse, taking calcium alone without D or vitamin K2 can lead to calcium building up in your arteries rather than being directed to your bones. That's why more doctors are recommending supplements that combine calcium plus vitamin D plus vitamin K2 so that absorption is efficient and calcium goes where it belongs. One important caution: never megadose on calcium. Taking more than 2,000 milligrams per day over long periods can increase the risk of kidney stones or calcification in soft tissues. That's why the best approach is always to focus on diet first, then use low-dose supplements as a backup, not as the main source. Also, timing matters. Your body can only absorb 500 to 600 milligrams of calcium at a time, so if you're taking supplements, split the dose into 2 servings, one with breakfast, one with dinner. And take it with food, especially meals that contain healthy fats, to support vitamin D absorption and muscle metabolism. Let me tell you a story. A patient of mine named Arthur, age 74, had been walking with a cane for the past year, not because of an injury, but because his legs just felt unstable. He described it as walking on noodles. After reviewing his diet, we realized he was barely getting 400 milligrams of calcium per day, and his vitamin D levels were borderline deficient. We made a plan: a mix of sardines, tofu, and fortified oat milk in his breakfast routine, plus a supplement with calcium, vitamin D, and K2 taken in 2 doses. Within 3 months, he returned walking without his cane. He said, "I feel like I've rebuilt my legs from the inside." Now here's the part that most people forget: movement is just as important as calcium itself. Without weight-bearing exercise, calcium doesn't know where to go. Walking, light resistance training, yoga, or even dancing triggers bone remodeling. It tells your body, this area is being used, send calcium here. So sitting all day, even with perfect calcium intake, can leave your bones understimulated and weak. Even 15 to 20 minutes of walking daily makes a difference. So if you're someone who feels unsteady, struggles with stairs, or worries about falling, look beyond your muscles, check your calcium intake. It's not just about preventing osteoporosis. It's about strengthening your stride, improving muscle contraction, and ensuring that your bones and joints are ready to support you for the years ahead. By now, we understand how essential calcium is, not just for bones, but for every step you take. But here's something most people aren't told: getting calcium isn't enough. Your body also needs to absorb it properly, use it efficiently, and send it to the right places. Because without the right foods, nutrients, and habits, all that calcium may go to waste or worse, end up where it doesn't belong, like your arteries or kidneys. So in this part, we'll talk about the best ways to absorb calcium safely through smart food combinations, key nutrient pairings, and simple daily habits that protect both your bones and your heart. Let's begin with the core truth: food-based calcium is the safest and most efficient form for seniors. Your body recognizes nutrients from real food more easily than it does from synthetic pills. And when calcium comes packaged in natural foods, it's often accompanied by other helpful nutrients like magnesium, vitamin D, protein, and healthy fats that enhance absorption and bone building. So what should you eat to support strong, safe calcium intake? First, let's revisit leafy green vegetables. Not all greens are created equal when it comes to calcium. Kale, bok choy, collard greens, and turnip greens are all high in bioavailable calcium, meaning your body can absorb most of what they offer. Just 1 cup of cooked collards gives you over 250 milligrams of calcium, plus vitamin K1 and magnesium to help guide that calcium into your bones. These greens are also low in oxalates, natural compounds that can block calcium absorption. Compare that to spinach. It's high in calcium, yes, but also high in oxalates, which bind to calcium and reduce how much your body actually uses. So while spinach is healthy, don't rely on it as your main calcium source. Next up, tofu and tempeh, especially those made with calcium sulfate. Just half a block of firm tofu can contain 350 to 450 milligrams of calcium, almost a third of your daily requirement. Plus, tofu is plant-based, low in fat, and easy on digestion. Add it to soups, stir-fries, or eat it grilled. Tempeh, a fermented soy product, is also a great option, especially for gut health. The fermentation process makes its nutrients even more bioavailable. Now let's talk about fish, specifically, canned fish with bones. Think sardines, salmon, and mackerel. The bones in these fish are soft and edible, and they're packed with both calcium and vitamin D, the perfect duo for bone support. Just 2 sardines offer about 90 milligrams of calcium, while a full can provides over 300 milligrams. Pair that with some lemon juice or a small salad and you've got a nutrient-packed, senior-friendly meal. What about people who don't like fish or soy? No problem, there are plenty of non-dairy fortified options. Unsweetened almond milk, soy milk, and oat milk are often fortified with 300 to 450 milligrams of calcium per cup, the same as dairy milk. But here's the trick, not all brands are created equal. Look for labels that say calcium carbonate or calcium citrate, and aim for ones that also include vitamin D, bonus points if they contain magnesium or K2. Drink them with meals rather than alone, and ideally with some healthy fat to enhance vitamin D absorption. A few other calcium-friendly foods to add to your weekly rotation. Chia seeds, just 2 tablespoons deliver about 180 milligrams of calcium. Add them to smoothies, oatmeal, or yogurt. Almonds, a small handful, about 28 g, offers 75 to 80 milligrams and also contains magnesium, healthy fats, and fiber. Blackstrap molasses, just 1 tablespoon has about 170 milligrams of calcium, plus iron and potassium. Broccoli and okra, though less dense than greens, they still contribute meaningful calcium and fiber. But even with great food, absorption depends on timing and nutrient partners. Here's where magnesium and vitamin K2 become critical. Calcium can't do its job alone. Magnesium helps convert vitamin D into its active form, allowing calcium to be absorbed into your bloodstream. Without magnesium, even high vitamin D levels can be ineffective. Meanwhile, vitamin K2 directs calcium to your bones and keeps it out of your arteries. Without K2, excess calcium may settle in blood vessels, increasing the risk of arterial stiffness, high blood pressure, or kidney stones. The best food sources of magnesium include pumpkin seeds, spinach, avocados, beans, and whole grains. For vitamin K2, you'll want to include fermented foods like natto, a Japanese dish, aged cheeses, egg yolks, and chicken liver. Even a few servings a week can make a difference. If you're not getting enough from food, consider a combined supplement of D3 plus K2 under the guidance of a healthcare provider. Now, let's talk about what to avoid or moderate. Certain foods and habits can reduce calcium absorption or even deplete calcium from your bones. These include excess caffeine, more than 3 cups of coffee per day. High sodium diets, which increase calcium loss in urine. Soft drinks, especially those with phosphoric acid. Smoking and heavy alcohol, both linked to bone loss. Overuse of calcium-only supplements, which may raise risk of kidney stones or arterial buildup if not balanced with D, K2, and magnesium. Let me give you a real story. Susan, 66, had been taking 1,200 milligrams of calcium carbonate daily for years, believing it was keeping her bones strong. But she still had recurring hip pain and was recently diagnosed with early-stage arterial calcification. When we reviewed her routine, she was missing vitamin D and K2 entirely, and her magnesium intake was very low. We shifted her toward food-based sources, fortified almond milk, kale stir-fry, sardines twice a week, and chia seeds in her yogurt. She switched to a D3 plus K2 plus calcium combo, and after 3 months, her energy and mobility improved noticeably. No more stiffness after sitting, and her follow-up scan showed no progression of the calcification. As she put it, it wasn't just the calcium, it was giving it the right directions. So remember this, calcium is powerful, but directionless without support. You want your calcium to land in your bones, not your arteries. You want it to build strength, not cause blockages. And that's why food matters. Not just for numbers, but for harmony. Think of your daily meal as a team of nutrients, not one star player. With the right foods, smart combinations, and a few small changes, you can give your body the tools it needs to walk stronger, move freely, and stay out of the danger zone of imbalance or fractures. Because leg strength isn't just about exercise, it starts on your plate. In the next part, we'll meet a silent hero that often goes unnoticed but plays a critical role in calming overactive muscles, stopping leg cramps, and keeping your neuromuscular system in harmony. Let's talk about magnesium. Imagine this: you're asleep, finally drifting into rest after a long day, when suddenly a sharp, stabbing cramp grips your calf. You shoot up, groaning, rubbing your leg, wondering, why does this keep happening? You stretch, walk it off, maybe take a sip of water. But what your body is really crying out for may not be hydration, it may be magnesium. This quiet mineral doesn't get much attention, but it's absolutely essential, especially after age 60. If you're dealing with leg cramps, twitching muscles, restless legs at night, or that nagging sensation of heaviness in your lower limbs, magnesium deficiency might be the culprit. And the truth is, it's extremely common in older adults. Studies estimate that up to 50% of people over 60 are magnesium deficient, often without even realizing it. So why is magnesium so important for your legs? Let's break it down simply. Every time your brain sends a signal to your leg muscles to move, stretch, flex, or relax, it does so through tiny electrical impulses. Magnesium acts like a voltage stabilizer in this system. It keeps your nerve signals calm, precise, and controlled. Without it, the system short circuits, leading to erratic contractions, spasms, or cramping. That's why many people experience sharp calf cramps or thigh spasms at night, because their magnesium levels drop during rest, when muscles are less active but still sensitive to imbalance. But that's only the beginning. Magnesium is also a cofactor in over 300 biochemical reactions in your body. It helps regulate muscle contraction and relaxation, controls inflammation in joints and soft tissues, and works alongside calcium to protect both bones and soft tissues. In fact, without magnesium, calcium can build up in the wrong places, like your joints, kidneys, or arteries, instead of strengthening your bones. Here's a surprising connection: many people who experience tight calves after walking, cramping during exercise, or slow recovery after activity aren't just out of shape, they're low in magnesium. Without it, your muscles fatigue faster and recover slower. You might find yourself feeling wiped out after climbing stairs, or needing longer breaks between movements. If this sounds familiar, magnesium might be the missing link. Now let's talk about what depletes magnesium. It's not just about poor diet. Common culprits include diuretics, often prescribed for blood pressure, antacids, especially if used frequently, chronic stress, alcohol, low intake of vegetables, beans, or whole grains. Over time, these factors drain your magnesium stores, leaving your body struggling to regulate muscle function properly. And since magnesium is primarily stored in bones and soft tissues, not floating in your blood, standard blood tests often miss a deficiency until symptoms become obvious. The good news? Magnesium is easy to restore, and many people feel a difference within just a few days of consistent intake. One of my patients, Elaine, age 69, used to wake up 3 times a night from leg spasms. She tried stretching, more water, even bananas, but nothing helped. We reviewed her routine and added a simple magnesium glycinate supplement at bedtime, just 200 milligrams to start. Within a week, she reported sleeping through the night, cramp-free for the first time in months. She said, "It's like someone turned the electricity down in my legs." So how can you boost magnesium naturally? Start with whole foods. Some of the richest sources include leafy greens, spinach, Swiss chard, beet greens, and kale. Nuts and seeds, almonds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, cashews. Beans and legumes, black beans, chickpeas, lentils. Whole grains, oats, quinoa, brown rice, whole wheat. Avocados and bananas, great for smoothies and light evening snacks. Dark chocolate, 70% plus, yes, in moderation, it's a great source too. Even just a handful of pumpkin seeds, about 30 g, gives you nearly 40% of your daily magnesium needs. Combine that with a spinach salad and some black beans, and you've got a light-loving meal without any pills. But what if your diet is limited? Or your symptoms are already severe? That's when supplementation can help. The best forms of magnesium for muscle and nerve support are magnesium glycinate, gentle on the stomach, great for relaxation and sleep. Magnesium citrate, higher absorption, may help with occasional constipation. Magnesium malate supports energy production, useful for fatigue. Magnesium L-threonate crosses the blood-brain barrier, supports cognition. Avoid forms like magnesium oxide, which are poorly absorbed and often cause diarrhea. The general safe dose for adults is 200 to 400 milligrams per day, split into 2 servings, morning and evening. Always start low, especially if you have kidney disease, and consult your doctor before starting any supplement. Also, remember that magnesium works hand in hand with calcium. You don't want to take calcium without magnesium, as it can increase the risk of muscle stiffness, cramping, and calcium deposits in soft tissues. Ideally, your calcium to magnesium ratio should be around 2 to 1, for example, 1000 milligrams calcium and 500 milligrams magnesium daily. And here's a pro tip for absorption: magnesium is better taken with meals, especially those containing protein and healthy fat. For evening leg cramps or sleep issues, try taking it 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Many people also report that magnesium helps reduce anxiety, insomnia, and even mild depression because it regulates neurotransmitters and calms the nervous system. Let me share one more story. Henry, 71, came into the clinic complaining of frequent stumbling, not full falls, but moments when his legs felt like they weren't responding fast enough. After testing and reviewing his diet, it became clear he was chronically low in magnesium and potassium. We adjusted his meals, added magnesium citrate in the morning and glycinate at night, and included more beans, oats, and pumpkin seeds into his weekly rotation. After 1 month, he said, "I'm walking like I did 5 years ago." And that's the beauty of magnesium: it's quiet, but when it's missing, everything feels a little off. So if your legs are stiff, twitchy, crampy, or just feel tired all the time, don't assume it's aging. It might be a simple mineral shortfall. Magnesium is your muscle's best friend, your nerve's silent guardian, and your sleep's secret weapon. It doesn't take much to feel a difference. Just consistency, smart choices, and a little patience. In the next part, we'll look at another underappreciated mineral, potassium, and why it may hold the key to preventing sudden cramps, improving energy, and keeping your legs steady after long walks. Imagine standing up after sitting for a while, and suddenly, your leg buckles slightly. Or maybe you're walking through the house and your calf tightens out of nowhere, forcing you to stop and wait for the pain to pass. You may have brushed it off as dehydration, or told yourself it's just part of aging, but one of the most likely causes is something you're not getting enough of: potassium. Potassium is a critical electrolyte, and it plays an invisible but essential role in how your legs move, balance, and recover. It's responsible for fluid balance, nerve transmission, and especially for muscle contraction. Without enough potassium in your system, your muscles start to misfire. They twitch, cramp, feel heavy, or worse, they simply give out mid-movement. That's why many older adults feel like their legs just can't keep up with what their minds want them to do. Potassium works like a gatekeeper between your nerves and muscles. Every time your brain tells your leg to move, that message travels via an electrical impulse. Potassium controls whether that message arrives smoothly or gets delayed, interrupted, or distorted. When potassium is low, your muscles become overexcitable. That's when cramps, spasms, and fatigue set in, especially during the night or after periods of sitting still. You've likely heard that bananas are good for potassium, and that's true. But potassium goes far beyond bananas. In fact, bananas are not even the best source. And unfortunately, most older adults don't get anywhere near enough potassium each day. According to the U.S. Institute of Medicine, women over 50 need around 2,600 milligrams per day, and men need about 3,400 milligrams per day. Yet the average senior gets just over half of that, creating a silent deficiency that can cause muscle weakness, balance issues, and even increased risk of falls. So how do you know if your potassium is low? Here are the most common signs. Frequent leg cramps, especially at night. Muscle fatigue after short activity. Shaky legs or muscle tremors. Sudden drops in energy after walking or standing. Irregular heartbeat or heart flutters. Tingling or numbness in feet or calves. One patient of mine, Joseph, age 67, described it perfectly. He said, "I'll be walking just fine, and then suddenly my leg doesn't want to cooperate, it wobbles, like it's not part of me anymore." After reviewing his food log, we found his potassium intake was barely 1,200 milligrams per day. Once we boosted his intake through targeted meals, that feeling disappeared within 2 weeks. So let's look at what to eat. Some of the best potassium-rich foods include sweet potatoes. One medium-sized sweet potato has nearly 540 milligrams of potassium, almost twice that of a banana. White potatoes, with skin, also over 900 milligrams in one medium-baked potato. Avocados. One avocado provides around 700 milligrams, plus healthy fats for your heart and joints. Spinach, cooked 1 cup contains over 800 milligrams. Black beans, 1 cup gives you 600 to 700 milligrams, along with protein and fiber. Coconut water, a natural electrolyte drink with 400 to 600 milligrams per serving. Oranges and orange juice, around 470 milligrams per fruit, or 500 to 600 milligrams per cup of juice. Yogurt, a good dairy source of potassium, with about 380 milligrams per cup. By rotating these foods into your meals, sweet potatoes at lunch, avocado on toast in the morning, a handful of spinach at dinner, you can easily reach your potassium targets without supplements. And because potassium works best in combination with magnesium and vitamin D, those other nutrients you've learned about will amplify its effects, improving your nerve-muscle communication, reducing cramps, and enhancing strength. One thing many people overlook is the role of potassium in bone health. As we age, our diets often produce more acid in the body, from processed foods, meats, coffee, and even stress. To neutralize that acid, our bones release calcium, leading to weakened bone density over time. But potassium, especially from fruits and vegetables, helps buffer that acid naturally. That means it not only protects your muscles, but also helps slow down bone loss and reduce your risk of osteoporosis. Here's a smart trick: add potassium-rich foods to every meal, and make small swaps where possible. For example, replace bread or crackers with half an avocado on whole grain toast. Add black beans to your salad or soup. Use baked sweet potatoes instead of white rice at dinner. Drink coconut water after light exercise instead of sugary drinks. Snack on a banana and a handful of almonds instead of processed chips. Now, what about potassium supplements? In general, they should be used with caution, especially in older adults with kidney issues, heart disease, or those on medications like diuretics or ACE inhibitors. Too much potassium can lead to hyperkalemia, which affects the heart's rhythm and can be dangerous. If you think you may need a supplement, always talk to your doctor first and request a blood test. For most people, though, food is the best path. It's safer, more effective, and gives you the full spectrum of supporting nutrients like fiber, magnesium, and antioxidants that pills can't provide. Also, potassium from food absorbs more gradually, avoiding the spikes that supplements can cause. Let me give you another example. My patient Gloria, 72, came in frustrated. She exercised daily, ate what she thought was a healthy diet, but still had exhaustion in her legs by noon. After reviewing her routine, we noticed she skipped breakfast, drank lots of coffee, and rarely ate fruit or beans. We added a morning smoothie with spinach, banana, and yogurt, and included a baked sweet potato at lunch with some black beans. 3 weeks later, she said, "It's like someone charged my legs back to full power." That's potassium doing its job quietly, but powerfully. So remember, potassium is a mover, a balancer, a protector. It ensures that your muscles contract properly, your nerves fire smoothly, and your energy returns after every movement. It keeps you upright, steady, and confident even after a long walk or climb. When combined with magnesium, vitamin D, and calcium, potassium becomes part of a core nutrient trio that has been shown to reduce nighttime cramps by up to 70%, according to studies published in current rheumatology reports. That's not just science, it's real relief. In our next section, we'll uncover another often ignored nutrient, vitamin K, the behind-the-scenes director that tells calcium where to go, prevents joint stiffness, and strengthens your legs by guiding every mineral into the right place. When we think of nutrients for leg strength, vitamin K rarely comes to mind. It doesn't have the popularity of vitamin D or the familiarity of calcium. But make no mistake, vitamin K is the quiet commander behind the scenes, making sure that everything runs smoothly, especially when it comes to bone strength, joint flexibility, and muscle coordination. If you're over 60 and struggling with stiffness in your knees, unexplained leg aches, or difficulty regaining balance after sitting, vitamin K might be the missing link that changes everything. Let's start with the basics. Vitamin K comes in two main forms, K1 and K2. Vitamin K1 is found mostly in leafy green vegetables and plays a big role in blood clotting. That's its most well-known job. But it's vitamin K2 that performs the critical task of directing calcium into your bones and keeping it out of places it doesn't belong, like your arteries or joints. Think of calcium as a building material. Vitamin D helps you absorb it. But vitamin K2 is the one that decides where to put it. Without enough K2, calcium may drift into your soft tissues, causing joint stiffness, arterial calcification, or painful inflammation even if your diet is rich in calcium. One of the key roles of K2 is activating a protein called osteocalcin, which binds calcium tightly into the bone matrix, essential for maintaining bone density, especially in your legs and hips. A study from Tufts University found that older adults with higher vitamin K intake had significantly fewer fractures, better mobility, and more stable walking patterns than those who were deficient. In other words, K2 doesn't just keep bones from breaking, it helps them function as strong, reliable levers that support your movement every day. But vitamin K's job doesn't stop at bones. It also plays a critical role in joint health. Low levels of K2 have been linked to increased rates of knee osteoarthritis, morning stiffness, and reduced range of motion. That dull ache in your knees when you stand up, or that creaky sensation after sitting too long? It could be a subtle sign that your joints aren't getting enough support at the cellular level. Vitamin K2 helps regulate calcium inside muscle cells, ensuring they contract and release in harmony. When levels are low, your movements may feel offbeat, uncoordinated, or weak. So how do you know if you're getting enough K2? The tricky part is, vitamin K2 isn't easy to come by in a standard diet, especially if you eat few fermented foods or avoid organ meats. Here are the best natural sources of vitamin K2. Natto, a traditional Japanese dish made from fermented soybeans. It's the richest source of K2, especially -7 Malawian kwaches, the most bioavailable form. 1 tablespoon contains more than enough for the entire day. The taste is strong, but if you can acquire it, it's worth it. Aged cheeses, Gouda, Brie, and cheddar contain significant amounts of K2 due to the fermentation process. 1 or 2 small slices per day can contribute to bone support. Egg yolks, rich in both K2 and choline. Choose pasture-raised or organic when possible. Liver, particularly from chicken or beef. While not everyone enjoys it, liver is one of the most nutrient-dense foods you can eat. Butter and ghee, from grass-fed cows. These contain smaller but helpful amounts of K2 and are a flavorful addition to warm vegetables or whole grains. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, collards, and Brussels sprouts are rich in K1, which also supports bone and joint health, though it's not as directly impactful as K2 when it comes to directing calcium. Still, these greens provide magnesium, fiber, and antioxidants, and they should remain a staple in any senior-friendly diet. If you're not consuming these foods regularly, a vitamin K2 supplement may be beneficial. The most effective form is -7 Malawian kwaches, which stays in the bloodstream longer and requires lower dosing. A typical dose for older adults ranges from 90 to 200 micrograms per day. Many high-quality D3 supplements now include K2 in their formulas because they work so closely together to protect bones and blood vessels. However, there's one critical warning: if you're taking blood-thinning medications, such as warfarin, Coumadin, you must not adjust your vitamin K intake without medical supervision. Vitamin K directly affects clotting, and changing your intake can interfere with your medication's effectiveness. That said, if your intake of K is consistent and monitored, doctors can adjust your dosage accordingly. Let's look at a practical daily example of how to build vitamin K into your meals. Breakfast: 2 scrambled eggs with sautéed spinach and a slice of cheddar cheese on whole grain toast. Lunch: chickpea salad with kale, olive oil, and roasted sweet potatoes. Dinner: grilled chicken thigh with steamed Brussels sprouts and a side of brown rice. Snack: aged cheese cube or spoonful of natto, if available. You don't need to overhaul your diet, just strategically include small portions of K-rich foods, especially fermented or animal-based items that provide K2. Let me share a story. Linda, age 70, came in complaining of tight knees and stiffness that made it hard for her to garden, her favorite hobby. She was already taking calcium and vitamin D but had no K2 in her routine, and she didn't like cheese or liver. We introduced her to natto, which she ate with rice and kimchi, and added a D3 plus K2 supplement. In just 2 months, she returned and said, "It's like my knees remembered how to move again." She was back to gardening daily, with fewer aches and more ease. That's the power of vitamin K. It doesn't make headlines, but it directs everything silently and powerfully. It works deep inside your bones, in your joints, in your blood vessels, and in your muscle fibers, ensuring that calcium, magnesium, and D3 can all do their jobs in the right place at the right time. So if your legs feel stiff, if your knees creak when you move, or if you've had scans showing calcium buildup where it shouldn't be, ask yourself, am I getting enough vitamin K2? It might be the quiet conductor your body's been missing. In the next section, we'll talk about vitamin B12, the nerve protector, and how it can restore sensation, prevent muscle misfires, and rebuild confidence in every step you take. Have you ever stood up and felt like your legs weren't fully under your control? Maybe they felt heavy, like sandbags. Or maybe you've experienced tingling in your feet, numb toes, or a strange sensation like walking on cotton. These aren't just quirky nerve sensations, they could be your body's early warning signs of a vitamin B12 deficiency, one of the most overlooked yet essential nutrients for nerve health, muscle control, and leg stability in people over 60. Vitamin B12, also known as cobalamin, plays a vital role in the function of your nervous system. Specifically, it helps produce the myelin sheath, a protective coating around your nerves that ensures signals travel quickly and accurately from your brain to your muscles. When B12 is missing, this sheath breaks down. The result? Nerve signals begin to slow, misfire, or stop altogether, leading to muscle weakness, balance issues, numbness, and even mobility loss if left untreated. And here's the concerning part, many older adults are low in B12 without realizing it. According to the U.S. National Institutes of Health, up to 20% of people over 60 have borderline or outright B12 deficiency. Why? Because as we age, our bodies produce less stomach acid and intrinsic factor, two components needed to absorb B12 from food. Add in common medications like metformin, antacids, or proton pump inhibitors, and B12 absorption becomes even more difficult. So even if you're eating well, your body might not be absorbing what it needs. Let's look at some of the classic symptoms of B12 deficiency in seniors. Numbness or tingling in feet, toes, or legs. Difficulty walking, frequent stumbling, or a feeling of losing your step. Muscle weakness, especially in thighs or calves. Poor coordination or balance, especially when turning quickly. A sensation of pins and needles, even while resting. Low energy, brain fog, or feeling off emotionally. One of my patients, Min, age 68, came in concerned that he was losing his legs. He hadn't fallen, but he was walking more cautiously and noticed his feet weren't as responsive. He also had a strange, persistent burning sensation on the soles of his feet. Blood work revealed his B12 levels were just 190 pg/ml, borderline deficient. We began B12 supplementation along with dietary changes, and within 1 month, he reported that the numbness had lessened, and he was walking more confidently again. So where does B12 come from? It's found only in animal-based foods, including beef, chicken, turkey, salmon, tuna, sardines, eggs, especially the yolks, milk, yogurt, and cheese, shellfish like clams, oysters, and crab. If you follow a vegetarian or low-meat diet, you are much more likely to be B12 deficient unless you consume fortified foods or take supplements. Some of the best fortified sources include nutritional yeast, plant-based milks with B12 added, and fortified breakfast cereals, though check sugar content. For many older adults, even with a good diet, absorption is the main issue. That's where supplementation becomes critical. You can take B12 in several forms. Oral tablets or capsules, cyanocobalamin or methylcobalamin. Sublingual drops or lozenges that dissolve under the tongue. Monthly B12 injections if you have serious absorption problems or neurological symptoms. In general, methylcobalamin is the preferred form for nerve protection, as it's already in its active state. A typical daily dose for maintenance is 500 to 1000 micrograms per day, and it's water-soluble, so any excess is excreted safely in urine. That means it's very safe, even at higher doses during the repletion phase. Also important, B12 works best when combined with folate, vitamin B9, and vitamin B6. These three are often referred to as the neuronutrient trio. Together, they help rebuild nerve endings, reduce homocysteine, a marker of inflammation linked to nerve damage, and restore muscular coordination. That's why many senior multivitamins include all three in balanced amounts. Here's a practical daily routine to include more B12-rich foods. Breakfast: scrambled eggs with spinach, slice of whole grain toast with avocado. Lunch: tuna salad with olive oil, chickpeas, and leafy greens. Snack: fortified yogurt or a glass of soy milk with added B12. Dinner: grilled chicken thigh with sweet potato and steamed broccoli. Before bed: sublingual B12 drop or lozenge, especially if prescribed. If you're someone who's experienced frequent falls, unexplained leg weakness, or a gradual loss of coordination, it's important to get your B12 levels checked with a simple blood test. Anything below 200 pg/ml is considered deficient, but even levels in the 200 to 350 range can cause neurological symptoms in older adults. Catching it early makes a huge difference. One more note: if you've had bariatric surgery, celiac disease, or chronic gastritis, your risk for B12 deficiency is even higher. If any of those apply to you, B12 supplementation may need to be lifelong and closely monitored. Let me end with this reminder: vitamin B12 is not just a nutrient, it's a lifeline for your legs. It protects the electrical wiring between your brain and muscles. Without it, even simple steps can feel unstable, disconnected, or unsafe. But when restored, the difference is often dramatic. Better movement, sharper reflexes, and a new sense of confidence in every step. In the next section, we'll go deeper into who's most at risk of B12 deficiency, and how to build a practical daily plan, especially if you take medications, follow a restricted diet, or already experience signs of nerve trouble. By now, you understand how vital vitamin B12 is to maintaining balance, nerve function, and strength in your legs. But the truth is, not everyone is equally at risk for deficiency. Certain people, especially those over 60, are far more vulnerable, even if they eat well. And many don't realize it until symptoms like numbness, stumbling, or leg weakness are already affecting daily life. So in this section, we'll explore who should be extra cautious with B12, how to spot silent risk factors, and how to build a smart, safe supplementation plan to protect your mobility and nerve health for years to come. Let's begin with the biggest risk factor of all: age. After 60, your stomach naturally produces less hydrochloric acid, HCl, and intrinsic factor, both of which are needed to absorb B12 from food. Even if you eat meat and eggs regularly, your body may no longer be absorbing B12 efficiently. That's why age alone, without any health conditions, is enough reason to keep a close eye on your B12 levels. The second risk group? People taking common medications, especially proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, like omeprazole or lansoprazole. H2 blockers like ranitidine or famotidine. Metformin, used for diabetes. Diuretics or water pills, which can affect nutrient absorption over time. These medications are widely prescribed for heartburn, high blood pressure, or diabetes, and they interfere with how the body absorbs B12. The longer you use them, the more your stores are depleted. If you've been on any of these medications for over a year, your doctor should routinely check your B12, but many don't, unless you ask. Next, let's talk about dietary risk. If you follow a vegetarian or vegan diet, you're at very high risk for B12 deficiency. B12 is found only in animal-based foods, meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. While plant-based diets offer many health benefits, they don't provide enough B12 unless you actively eat fortified foods or take supplements. Even flexitarians or people who eat meat infrequently, say, once or twice a week, can gradually become deficient. Another risk group includes people with digestive disorders or surgeries that affect absorption, including chronic gastritis or low stomach acid, celiac disease or Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, stomach or intestinal surgery, especially bariatric procedures. If your gut isn't absorbing well, it won't matter how much B12 you eat. That's why injections are sublingual, under the tongue. Supplements are often recommended for people with absorption issues. They bypass the gut completely. Now that you know the risks, how can you take action? Step 1. Get tested. Ask your doctor for a serum B12 test. A level below 200 pg/ml is considered deficient. But here's the catch: some people show symptoms even when their levels are in the low normal range, around 200 to 350 pg/ml. That's especially true for older adults. If you're experiencing leg numbness, tingling, fatigue, or poor balance, push for a more detailed test, like MMA, methylmalonic acid, or homocysteine. Both can detect early B12-related nerve damage. Step 2. Adjust your diet. If you eat animal-based foods, include at least 1 to 2 high B12 items daily. 2 to 3 ounces of salmon, tuna, or sardines. 1 egg, preferably with yolk. 1 cup of milk or fortified plant milk. A serving of yogurt or cheese. 2 to 3 ounces of chicken, turkey, or beef. If you're plant-based, choose fortified cereals, fortified nutritional yeast, and plant milks with B12 added. Check labels. But food alone may not be enough, especially as you age. Step 3. Use smart supplementation. Here's where things get specific. There are several safe, effective ways to boost B12 levels. Sublingual tablets dissolve under the tongue for faster absorption, ideal for seniors. Sprays or drops, easy to use and often absorbed better than pills. Daily capsules, good for maintenance, but may be slower in raising low levels. Injections, for people with serious deficiency, poor absorption, or neurological symptoms. The most common forms of B12 supplements are cyanocobalamin, the synthetic form, widely available and stable. Methylcobalamin, the natural, active form, better for nerve support. Hydroxycobalamin, often used in injections, longer acting in the bloodstream. Dosage depends on your needs. For mild deficiency or maintenance, 500 to 1000 micrograms per day, oral or sublingual. For moderate to severe deficiency, 1000 to 2000 micrograms per day, temporarily, under supervision. Or weekly injections for 4 to 8 weeks, followed by monthly maintenance. Don't worry, B12 is water-soluble. That means any excess is flushed out in your urine, making it one of the safest supplements you can take. But remember, B12 doesn't work alone. For optimal nerve and leg support, combine it with folate. B9 helps repair nerve damage and improve energy. Vitamin B6 supports nerve signaling and muscle coordination. Magnesium assists in nerve transmission and muscle relaxation. Vitamin D enhances overall neuromuscular function. One of my patients, Mr. Din, 72, had been taking a general multivitamin but still felt wobbly when walking. We ran tests. His B12 was at 235 pg/ml, and he was low in B6 and magnesium. We introduced a B-complex supplement with 1000 micrograms of methylcobalamin, added magnesium citrate, and encouraged more salmon, eggs, and avocado in his meals. After 6 weeks, his walking speed improved, and he no longer feared stepping down from curbs. Here's a sample day for someone aiming to support B12 levels naturally. Breakfast: 1 egg plus whole grain toast plus spinach sautéed in olive oil. Lunch: grilled salmon salad with avocado and black beans. Snack: fortified soy milk smoothie with banana and chia seeds. Dinner: chicken breast plus steamed broccoli plus quinoa. Evening: 1000 micrograms sublingual methylcobalamin tablet. If you have risk factors, whether from age, medication, or diet, think of B12 as a daily essential, not an optional vitamin. Without it, your legs can feel disconnected, your steps hesitant, and your nerves unpredictable. But with the right approach, those symptoms often reverse, and quickly. In our next part, we'll explore vitamin B6, the final piece in the neuronutrient trio, and how it supports muscle strength, balance, and mental sharpness as you age. If vitamin B12 is the nerve's protector, then vitamin B6 is its steady operator, the one who keeps signals flowing cleanly, your body responding quickly, and your movements coordinated and smooth. While it may not be as well known as calcium or vitamin D, B6 plays a surprisingly powerful role in how you walk, how long you stay steady, and how quickly you recover after a bit of exertion. For anyone over 60, especially those feeling like their legs are slowing down, this is a nutrient worth paying close attention to. So what exactly does vitamin B6 do? At its core, B6, also known as pyridoxine, supports the nervous system, muscle function, and red blood cell production. It helps produce the neurotransmitters that carry messages from your brain to your limbs, like dopamine, serotonin, and GABA. Without it, those signals weaken, making your steps less precise, your reflexes slower, and your balance less reliable. That's why B6 deficiency has been linked to gait instability, muscle fatigue, and even numbness or tingling in the hands and feet. In seniors, the symptoms of B6 deficiency often show up gradually. Frequent muscle fatigue, even after mild activity. A sense of disconnection between your legs and your balance. Shaky hands or trouble with fine motor tasks. Stumbling when turning corners or walking uneven ground. Burning or tingling sensations in the legs or soles of the feet. General slowness in movement recovery after exertion. One of my patients, Diane, 70, described it best: "It's like my legs are always a few seconds behind the rest of me." She wasn't weak, per se, but her body wasn't reacting in sync. After running a micronutrient panel, we found her B6 levels were low. We added a moderate B-complex supplement and increased B6-rich foods in her meals. In less than 4 weeks, she said, "It feels like I got my rhythm back." That's the magic of B6. It helps your body process protein into energy, aids in muscle repair, and improves your stamina and coordination, especially as you age and muscle recovery slows. Here's another little-known fact: vitamin B6 is involved in controlling chronic inflammation, particularly in muscles and joints. If you frequently feel like your legs are sore in the mornings, or you have lingering muscle aches after walking, low B6 may be contributing to your slow recovery. And since B6 also supports the production of hemoglobin, it helps deliver oxygen to your muscles. When levels drop, muscles become starved of oxygen, and that's when fatigue and heaviness kick in. Now, who's most at risk for low B6? Seniors, especially those who eat low-protein or highly processed diets, take medications like diuretics, hydralazine, isoniazid, or birth control pills, have kidney disease, liver issues, or digestive disorders, drink alcohol regularly, rarely eat fish, poultry, or legumes. If any of those apply to you, your B6 stores may already be depleted. So how much B6 do you need? The recommended daily intake for older adults is 1.5 mg for women and 1.7 mg for men, but that's a minimum to prevent deficiency, not necessarily enough to support optimal neuromuscular health. Most B-complex supplements contain between 2 to 10 mg, which is safe and effective for daily support. Luckily, B6 is widely available in whole foods, especially those that are easy to incorporate into your routine. Here are some excellent sources. Salmon, 1 3-ounce serving contains over 50% of your daily B6. Tuna, also rich in B6 and omega-3s. Chicken breast or turkey, lean protein and great B6 source. Bananas, 1 banana offers about 0.4 mg. Potatoes, with skin nearly 0.7 mg in a medium potato. Chickpeas, 1 cup provides over 1 mg. Fortified cereals, often contain full daily value of B6. Spinach, carrots, and avocados, lower amounts, but still contribute. Here's a simple meal plan that incorporates B6 into your day. Breakfast, oatmeal topped with banana slices and a spoon of flax seeds. Lunch, grilled chicken salad with chickpeas and sweet potato. Snack, handful of pistachios or a hard-boiled egg. Dinner, baked salmon with steamed spinach and brown rice. Evening, B-complex vitamin with water, especially if recommended. Should you supplement? If you're already taking a B-complex or a multivitamin for seniors, you're likely getting enough B6. If not, a standalone 2 to 10 mg B6 supplement can be a great addition, especially if you're experiencing signs of nerve fatigue, weakness, or tingling. But do not exceed 100 mg per day unless under medical supervision. Extremely high doses of B6 over months or years can cause nerve damage, ironically mimicking the symptoms of a deficiency. And remember, B6 works best when combined with B12, folate, magnesium, and vitamin D. These nutrients support nerve function, muscle control, and reflexes, the exact things that help prevent falls and preserve independence. One final note, B6 also plays a small but important role in your mood, cognitive clarity, and sleep cycle, all of which influence your motivation to move and stay active. When your nerves fire correctly, your muscles recover quickly, and your mood stays balanced, your legs follow suit. So if you're feeling sluggish, out of sync, or like your body's forgotten how to move efficiently, don't ignore it. Vitamin B6 might be the quiet solution that helps your steps feel sharp again. It's not a miracle, but when combined with good sleep, a balanced diet, and thoughtful supplementation, B6 can restore rhythm, rebuild confidence, and bring a sense of control back to your legs. In the next section, we'll connect the dots, how combining these 7 vitamins consistently can transform not just your strength, but your entire relationship with movement. After exploring each of the 7 vital nutrients, vitamins D, B12, B6, K, and minerals like calcium, magnesium, and potassium, you might be wondering, how do I put this all together? How can I actually apply this to my daily routine without feeling overwhelmed? The answer is simpler than you think. In this part, we'll walk through how these nutrients work together to support your mobility, stability, and leg strength, and we'll show you how to build a practical, balanced plan that fits into your life even if you're not a fan of supplements or strict meal plans. Let's begin by understanding the synergy between these vitamins and minerals. They don't work in isolation. Think of your body like a symphony, each nutrient plays its instrument, but the real magic happens when they play in harmony. For example, vitamin D helps you absorb calcium, but without magnesium, that vitamin D can't be activated properly. Calcium strengthens your bones, but without vitamin K2, it may end up in your arteries or joints instead. Magnesium and potassium calm your nerves and prevent muscle cramps, but they also help with electrolyte balance, keeping your legs from feeling weak or shaky. Vitamin B12 and B6 are like the electrical system of your body, they help nerves talk to muscles. Without them, signals slow down, leading to clumsy movement or lost coordination. In other words, these 7 nutrients are not separate tools, they're pieces of the same structure that supports every step you take. When any one of them is missing or out of balance, the system becomes unstable. So how do you put this into action? Let's talk real life. You don't need to eat perfectly every day. But you do need consistency and awareness of what your body truly needs. Here's what a typical day might look like for someone aiming to support leg strength, nerve function, and bone health after 60. Breakfast. Scrambled eggs, vitamin B12 plus K2, with sautéed spinach, K1 plus magnesium. Whole grain toast, B6 plus fiber, with a little avocado, potassium plus healthy fat. A cup of fortified almond or soy milk, calcium plus D3. Mid-morning. A small banana or a glass of coconut water, potassium. If prescribed, take a sublingual B12 supplement, 1000 micrograms methylcobalamin. Lunch. Grilled salmon or sardines, vitamin D, B6, magnesium. Chickpea salad with kale and olive oil, B6, K1, magnesium. Sweet potato, potassium, fiber. Afternoon snack. A handful of almonds or pumpkin seeds, magnesium plus healthy fats. Or yogurt with chia seeds, calcium plus omega-3s. Dinner. Roasted chicken or tofu with bok choy and brown rice, protein plus K plus B vitamins. Baked potato with skin, potassium. A slice of aged cheese, K2 plus calcium. Evening. Optional, magnesium glycinate, 200 to 300 milligrams, before bed to support muscle recovery and sleep. Stretch or walk lightly after dinner to help calcium enter your bones through gentle weight-bearing activity. And if you use supplements? Keep them simple. You don't need 10 separate bottles. A smart routine might include a D3 plus K2 combo supplement in the morning. A B-complex with B12, B6, and folate. A magnesium supplement at night. Calcium if your diet is low in dairy or leafy greens. Occasional potassium-rich snacks or drinks like coconut water. Most people can meet potassium needs through food. Of course, everyone's body is different. If you have kidney disease, digestive issues, or take medications, you should consult your doctor before adding supplements. But if you've been feeling like your legs are declining, like you're more cautious with every step, or you're afraid of falling, don't ignore it. These nutrients could be the first step back to confidence. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Mr. N, age 74. He came in with a cane, saying he didn't trust his legs anymore. After reviewing his habits, we discovered he ate a low-protein, high-carb diet with very little sunlight. He took no supplements. Blood work showed deficiencies in vitamin D, B12, and magnesium. Over the next 10 weeks, we helped him build a daily plan using the strategies above: sunlight in the mornings, more leafy greens and fish, and targeted supplements. When he returned 3 months later, he wasn't using the cane. "I still walk slow," he said, "but I feel like my legs are mine again." That's the kind of shift these nutrients can make, not just physically, but emotionally. Because this isn't just about vitamins. It's about your freedom. Your ability to get up from a chair unassisted, to take a walk with your spouse, to climb stairs without gripping the rail, to wake up in the middle of the night and not worry about falling. These little freedoms mean everything after 60, and they're worth protecting. So if you followed along up to this point, you now have a full map of what your legs truly need. Not just exercise. Not just rest. But targeted nutritional support that fuels your muscles, bones, and nerves to work as one. And the best part? You don't need to be perfect. Just intentional. Start with one meal. One vitamin. One small shift. And watch how your legs respond. In the next section, we'll look at simple tests you can ask your doctor for and the warning signs that tell you when to act early, before mobility slips away. If you've ever felt unusually tired, off balance, or had a strange tingling in your feet, you may have brushed it off as just getting older. But for many people over 60, these symptoms are silent signals of something far more specific: a vitamin B12 deficiency. And here's the twist: most seniors who have it don't even know it. That's because the signs are subtle at first. But left uncorrected, they can lead to permanent nerve damage, leg weakness, and even cognitive decline. So who is most at risk? And more importantly, what can you do about it safely and effectively? Let's begin with why this vitamin matters so much. Vitamin B12 plays a critical role in the production of red blood cells and the maintenance of the nervous system. Without enough of it, your body can't make healthy blood to carry oxygen, and your nerves begin to misfire, especially in the legs and feet. That's why early symptoms of B12 deficiency often feel like strange leg problems. You may notice a feeling of pins and needles in the feet or toes, numbness or burning sensations in the legs, unusual fatigue, especially when standing or walking, a sense of unsteadiness, like your legs don't trust you, muscle weakness that seems to come out of nowhere. These are not signs to ignore. But here's the issue: after age 50, your body naturally becomes less efficient at absorbing B12. That's because the stomach produces less acid, which is needed to release B12 from food. This means even if you eat meat, eggs, or dairy regularly, your body might still not be absorbing what it needs. That's why B12 deficiency is common even in people who don't follow a vegetarian or vegan diet. Now, let's talk about who's most at risk. You may be at high risk of B12 deficiency if you are over 60 years old, take medications like metformin for diabetes, or proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole for acid reflux, have digestive conditions like gastritis, celiac disease, or atrophic gastritis, have had gastric surgery or weight loss surgery, eat little to no animal products, have chronic fatigue, balance issues, or neuropathy symptoms without a known cause. It's a long list, but if any of these describe you, it's worth getting your B12 levels checked, especially if your legs have been feeling weak, tingly, or unreliable lately. A simple blood test can reveal your B12 levels, but even better is testing for methylmalonic acid, MMA, or homocysteine, which show if your body is actually using the B12 effectively. Now, let's talk solutions. The good news is that restoring B12 levels is easy, affordable, and has almost no side effects when done correctly. You have a few options. 1. Sublingual B12 supplements. These are placed under the tongue and absorbed directly into the bloodstream, no stomach acid required. Look for methylcobalamin, the natural, active form, instead of cyanocobalamin. A typical dose is 1000 micrograms per day, but always confirm with your doctor. 2. B12 injections. For severe deficiencies or people with absorption issues, doctors may prescribe intramuscular injections of B12. These bypass the digestive system entirely and are often given weekly or monthly. 3. Oral tablets. Standard B12 tablets can work too, especially at high doses, like 1000 to 2000 micrograms, but may be less effective for those with absorption problems. 4. Fortified foods. Some breakfast cereals, plant-based milks, and nutritional yeasts are fortified with B12, but you'd need to consume them daily and in sufficient amounts to maintain healthy levels. In real life, many people start to feel better within 2 to 4 weeks of consistent supplementation. Energy improves, leg numbness fades, balance returns, and confidence in movement grows again. But this isn't a one-time fix, it's a lifetime habit for many seniors. Because once you cross a certain age, your ability to absorb B12 likely won't improve. That's why consistency is more important than intensity. Let me share a real-world case. Mrs. Clara, 68, came to me complaining about spaghetti legs. Her words. She said she was afraid to go on walks because her feet felt disconnected from the ground. She was also misplacing things and forgetting appointments. A few doctors had written it off as aging. But we checked her labs, and her B12 was dangerously low, under 150 pg/ml. Within 6 weeks of daily sublingual supplements and a once-a-week injection for the first month, her symptoms began to fade. 3 months later, she told me, "I don't feel 40 again, but I can walk to the store without worrying I'll trip." That's a win. So here's the takeaway: if you're feeling leg weakness, numbness, or nerve pain, and especially if you're over 60, don't guess. Get tested. If your B12 is low, address it quickly and stay consistent. This one vitamin could be the missing link between your fear of falling and your freedom to move. In our next part, we'll explore another unsung hero, vitamin B6, and how it helps reduce inflammation, protect your joints, and keep your steps balanced and steady. Let's talk about one of the most overlooked vitamins when it comes to joint and leg health in older adults, vitamin B6. You might have heard about it in passing, but not many people over 60 realize how essential this nutrient is for maintaining balance, reducing inflammation, and supporting nervous system function, especially when it comes to how steady and confident your legs feel when you walk. First, a little background. Vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine, is involved in over 100 enzyme reactions in the body. One of its most important roles is in the production of neurotransmitters. Those chemical messengers that allow your brain and nerves to talk to each other. Without enough B6, your nervous system can become sluggish or misfire. And when that happens, your legs may feel off, your balance can be compromised, and inflammation in your joints and muscles may increase. Now, let's break this down simply. Inflammation is at the root of many issues we blame on aging. Aching knees, stiff ankles, tired legs, even that burning sensation in your calves after just a short walk, these are often signs of low-grade chronic inflammation. Vitamin B6 doesn't work like a painkiller that numbs the sensation, it works more like a maintenance worker that calms the fires before they get out of control. Here's where it gets more interesting. Studies have shown that older adults with low B6 levels often have higher markers of inflammation, like C-reactive protein, CRP. This means that your body is likely under silent stress that you don't even feel until it manifests as pain, poor circulation, or balance issues. This is especially dangerous because once your balance is compromised, your risk of falling increases dramatically, which is one of the leading causes of injury in people over 65. But don't worry. The good news is that increasing your B6 intake is simple, natural, and effective. You just need to know where to find it and how to keep it at optimal levels without going overboard. So, where do you get B6? Here are some of the top natural food sources rich in vitamin B6. Bananas, a gentle source, also supports potassium. Chicken breast in turkey, lean proteins with high B6 levels. Tuna and salmon, double benefit for heart and nerves. Chickpeas, garbanzo beans, great for plant-based eaters. Fortified cereals, especially useful if you're not eating much meat. Potatoes and sweet potatoes, B6 plus complex carbs for energy. Spinach and leafy greens, small but consistent source. Now, some of you may wonder, should I take a supplement? It depends. Most people can get enough B6 through diet if they're eating a balanced, varied meal plan. However, if you're over 65 and dealing with neuropathy, chronic inflammation, or take medications like isoniazid or hydralazine, your doctor may recommend supplementation. What's the right dose? The recommended dietary allowance, RDA, for older adults is about 1.5 to 1.7 milligrams per day. But many supplements offer higher doses, sometimes up to 50 milligrams or more. While B6 is water-soluble and generally safe, too much over time, usually above 100 to 200 milligrams daily for months, can actually cause nerve damage, which is exactly what we're trying to prevent. So always speak with your doctor before starting high-dose supplements. Let me share the story of Mr. Douay, 71 years old, a retired carpenter who came to me with burning feet and unsteady steps. He was convinced it was just old age or maybe his shoes. But after a thorough checkup, we found he had low normal B6 levels and borderline elevated CRP, signs of hidden inflammation. With a carefully planned diet, including fish, spinach, and a few bananas a week, plus a low-dose B6 supplement, his symptoms began to ease in just over a month. I feel like my feet are part of me again, he said. That's the quiet power of B6. Vitamin B6 doesn't just reduce inflammation, it also works closely with B12 and folate to lower homocysteine, a compound linked to cardiovascular problems and poor circulation in the legs. So, when you support B6, you're not just helping your legs, you're protecting your heart, your brain, and your entire vascular system. Before we move on, here are a few easy daily tips. Add a banana to your breakfast or a smoothie. Include chicken or fish in at least one meal a day. Try chickpea-based dishes like hummus or curry once a week. Drink plenty of water. Hydration helps all B vitamins work better. If supplementing, keep it under 50 milligrams per day unless prescribed. In summary, vitamin B6 is like the conductor of an orchestra, quiet. Often unnoticed, but absolutely essential for keeping the performance smooth. When your nerves are calm and your joints are supported, you move more freely, sleep more soundly, and feel more confident walking, climbing stairs, or simply living life on your terms. In the next section, we'll tie everything together, how these 7 vitamins, when combined the right way, can help restore your leg strength, protect your nerves, and keep you moving with grace and independence. Now that we've walked through each of the 7 essential vitamins one by one, D, calcium, magnesium, potassium, K, B12, and B6, it's time to connect the dots. You might be thinking, do I need to take all of these? Or how do I even start without getting overwhelmed? Don't worry. You don't need a pharmacy in your kitchen. What you need is a simple, consistent routine that lets your body absorb and use these vitamins naturally so your legs stay strong, balanced, and ready to carry you through life with confidence. Here's the truth, none of these vitamins work in isolation. Vitamin D helps you absorb calcium, but without magnesium, calcium may not end up in your bones where it's needed. Without vitamin K, calcium might deposit in your arteries instead of your skeleton. B6 and B12 support your nerves, but without potassium, your muscles still cramp and misfire. It's a system, and like a well-built bridge, it needs all its parts aligned. Let's look at what this might look like in your everyday life. Imagine starting your morning with a glass of warm water and a walk in the early sun that gives your body a little hydration and a natural dose of vitamin D. For breakfast, you prepare a bowl of oatmeal topped with banana slices and a side of boiled eggs or grilled tofu. Right there, you've got potassium, B6, and a little magnesium. At lunch, you have a salmon salad with spinach, avocado, and pumpkin seeds. That's your magnesium, omega-3s, and vitamin K. In the evening, you might enjoy a chicken and sweet potato stew or a hearty chickpea curry, both packed with B vitamins and minerals. This isn't about going vegan or becoming a nutritionist. It's about listening to your body and making sure it gets what it needs, especially after 60, when the natural stores of these nutrients start to drop. It's about recognizing that your legs aren't just getting old, they're giving you signs. Weakness, tremors, cramps, slow recovery, all of that is your body waving a flag. And now, you know how to answer it. Let me share one more story. Miss Clara, a 68-year-old retired schoolteacher, came to me after a fall that shook her confidence. She didn't break anything, but she said something that stuck with me. It wasn't the pain. It was the feeling that I couldn't trust my own legs anymore. Together, we reviewed her diet, added a few gentle mobility exercises, and included a small vitamin routine. Nothing fancy, just a D3 supplement, more leafy greens, and fortified cereal in the morning. 2 months later, she walked into my clinic without her cane. And more importantly, she smiled and said, "I feel like myself again." That's what this journey is about. Not just avoiding pain, but reclaiming trust in your own body. Feeling grounded. Walking without fear. Knowing that each step is supported not just by bones and muscles, but by nutrients doing quiet but powerful work behind the scenes. Here's a simple checklist to help you start or optimize your vitamin routine. Get 15 to 20 minutes of sunlight daily, vitamin D. Eat 1 to 2 servings of leafy greens daily, vitamin K, magnesium. Include high B12 sources weekly, fish, eggs, fortified foods. Enjoy potassium-rich foods like bananas, sweet potatoes. Choose whole grains and seeds for B6 and magnesium. If supplementing, use a trusted multivitamin or target your deficiencies. Drink enough water to help absorption and reduce cramps. Also, remember to keep your doctor in the loop, especially if you're already taking medication. Some vitamins interact with common prescriptions for blood pressure, diabetes, or cholesterol. It's not about guessing, it's about building your health with precision, grace, and care. If you've made it this far in the video, you've already shown that you care about your body and want to take ownership of your well-being. That matters. Don't let anyone tell you that's just aging as an excuse. You now know the truth. You can influence how your legs feel, how your body performs, and how much energy you have at any age. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. A little more color on your plate. A little more movement in your day. A little more attention to what you give your body, and a lot more confidence in what it can still do for you. So the next time you stand up, climb the stairs, or take a walk outside, remember this: every step you take now is not just movement, it's a statement. That you're still strong. That you're still here. That your journey isn't slowing down, it's just getting wiser. If you've made it to the end of this video, take a quiet moment to let this settle in. Your legs, your balance, your strength, your independence are not lost to time. They are still within your care. What your body truly needs at this stage is no longer intensity or speed, but nourishment, attention, and consistency. We've talked through 7 key vitamins that may seem small on their own, but when they come together like puzzle pieces, they form the strong foundation your body has been asking for. You don't need to change your life overnight. Start with small choices: a glass of water in the morning, a walk under the sun, a few more greens on your plate. And above all, listen to your body. The tremors, the cramps, the weakness in your legs, they're not just signs of age. They're signals. And now, you know how to respond. You've learned how vitamin D strengthens your bones, how magnesium calms your muscles, how B12 and B6 restore nerve balance, and how every meal can either harm or help your body stay grounded. These are not complex treatments. They are simple truths, gentle tools that are already within your reach. So, the next time your legs feel tired or uncertain, remember, it's not too late to rebuild trust with your body. One smart step, one mindful bite, one moment of care at a time. You're not just surviving these years, you're stepping into them with strength and clarity. Because strong legs don't start in the gym. They start in the choices you make every day, especially at your age, when every step matters most.